So as many of you know, I just got back from Bali, and while I was there, I was bit by a mosquito, the wrong mosquito, and I got dengue fever. So people have been asking, and I just want to share this video, create this video about my experience, about what takeaways I had from that, because I think it's relevant for what people are going through now, and I hope that it could be helpful to you, and also winding in a little bit of my experience being a dietitian, gut health dietitian in particular, which certainly, probably know already, 70% of the immune system is in the gut. So grab a blanket, grab some tea, just gonna share this story, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to comment below. I'm at the beach, just went for a walk. I did not expect to be making this video right now, so I apologize for kind of the crazy setup here, but I figured maybe it's more relaxing to you anyway, so what the heck. All right, so I left the States to go to Bali on a planned vacation, and not thinking that the COVID-19 would get out of China, really, to tell you the honest truth. So arrived and had a really amazing 5 days. I just loved that area. The people are amazing. It felt like home. The food is just incredible. It's so affordable if you're traveling on a budget. I got to go to some yoga classes that just are the types that are not offered in Minneapolis, where I live, and it was just so fulfilling. So I was in the mountains when I first arrived there and decided I wanted to go down to Gili Island, mostly because I wanted to go surfing. That's my newest kind of addiction this year. So I got on the boat and everything, went to Gili Island, and I one night had met some friends and we were watching the sunset on the beach, and this was the first time I really noticed the mosquitoes. So all these mosquitoes came out. This owner of the hut that we were kind of hanging out at on the beach, he made a fire to try to create some smoke to get rid of the mosquitoes, and he gave us all lotion to put on, so mosquito repellent. And I honestly, before leaving for this trip, I didn't really know the dengue concerns, the dengue fever concerns with mosquitoes. Certainly I now know, because people have told me that it's the most dangerous animal on our earth, which after my experience makes total sense. So, have this lotion on to try to prevent them from biting me. But that was really kind of the turning point for when I got sick. The next day I thought I was feeling kind of off, but I decided to go surfing. And after surfing, it just kind of like went downhill. I was sleeping a lot, just really tired, and I really just thought it was sun sickness. I got a burn on the back of my legs after surfing. Despite wearing sunscreen, it's just near the equator, very hot. I'm coming out of Minnesota winter, not the best time for me to be in the direct sun, but it was so worth it. And so went back to the main island and just thought, all right, I'll rest a couple days and recover. Well, on one of the days, I just wasn't feeling amazing still, so I decided I was just gonna go to a co-working space and do some work, make some Instagram posts, make some videos for you guys, script some videos, and do that. Well, I got to the dorm because of the whole coronavirus piece. They decided to check my temperature just with one of the forehead temperature monitors, which, funny story, coming into Bali at the airport, they did that to me too, and I had no idea what was going on. It looked like a gun, so it looked like someone was just putting a gun up to my forehead. I was the first in line, so I didn't see anybody else go through it, and I just definitely jumped a bit. So when he did it, I knew what was happening, and he said, you have a temperature of 39 degrees Celsius, which I actually don't even remember what that is in Fahrenheit. You can Google it if you're interested, but it's high, it's not normal. So I, of course, Google sun sickness or sun poisoning, can that cause a fever? And it said yes. So I, again, didn't think much of it, just rested some more. So finally, after a few days, I thought, it's probably best to just go see a doctor, because this is kind of odd, just intuitively felt odd to me. And so I go in to, my, actually the woman that I was staying with, she called and set up this appointment for me. And so you might have seen my post about how impressed I was by the Bali just normal healthcare system. I'm not sure intensive care or anything like that, but just like the normal healthcare. So they actually sent a taxi. They had a driver that came and picked me up, brought me to the clinic. I was seen right away. The doctor did the exam, and then he decided to run the dengue fever lab and then also a CBC. So it's kind of like dengue fever season there. It's rainy season, but apparently this season is the worst that it's really kind of been yet, is what I was gathering. And what I've like since learned too is that with global warming, it's making it worse because for obvious reasons. So anyway, lab panels come back and my white blood cells are going down. They're just low. So not going down, it's my first lab panel. They were low. And then the platelets were low too. And so he said, okay, this is what I suspect, go home, rest, like take it super easy, drink a lot of water, keep eating, and text us if any of these symptoms come up. And so I was like, okay, going to show like how amazing this is. The driver came to get me. Could you imagine, like in the United States, our sick individuals who miss appointments because they don't have a ride, having a driver to be able to come get them? And then also 24/7, so I could text them whenever if something came up, and I could go in at any time. Actually, they would come and get me at any time. And so I there's some ducks here. Hopefully they come into the video for you guys. And so, yeah, I go home, I rest up, and then we make an appointment for the next day to get new labs just to see how things are going. And so my labs the next day, they're worse. And of course, like I've never had my CBC being bad like that. My white blood cells being so low, my platelets being so low. And of course I started to get like a little nervous, but they weren't so bad yet that they wanted me to go to the hospital. So, okay, go home, rest again, come back the next day, they're worse again. And actually this day I got this rash on my skin, and I was thinking, this is a dengue rash. I've heard about this, I've heard it's good. I go to the CDC website and it says, if you have the dengue rash, that's a good sign. Oh, see the ducks, so amazing. I do love Minnesota. So I go to on the CDC website, rash is good. So I arrive at the doctor's office and I'm like, great news, I have the dengue rash, and I'm starting to feel a bit better, this is good, right? And so he does his whole exam again, new labs, and the labs are still going down. The platelets are scarily low. And I think 117 or something like that, totally freaked me out from being a healthy person who's used to seeing everything in the green. And so, the doctor checks out my skin, and he is not impressed. He's like, this is not the dengue rash. This is actually you bleeding under your skin. So certainly I freak out then, and he's like, your liver's still good, your gums aren't bleeding, your eyes look good, so I think we can keep you at home still, but you have to absolutely text me if any of these symptoms arise, and you are so close to needing to go to the hospital. And he goes, go wash your hands right now, put on a hand sanitizer, and do not touch anything. And so if you've ever been told that as a child, don't touch anything, I was kind of oh my God, am I gonna hurt somebody else? But I didn't quite realize it or connect the dots at the time. That I think was the actual day that Bali had their first death from coronavirus, or COVID-19. And so certainly he knew that, and dengue fever mixed with COVID is not a good combination. That's really would be bad, and I think that's why they hadn't sent me to the hospital at that point, just knowing the risk of being in the hospital with having such a poor immune system, being exposed to these individuals coming in with COVID-19. Probably for the best that I didn't quite understand how serious it was at the time. And so I just go home and I rest in my kind of house mom, as I call her, Mira, who's like incredible. She like kind of assures me I'm gonna be okay, and she keeps encouraging me to drink more and eat more. I'm like, Mira, my urine's clear, and I like had 10 cups already today, and she's like, more. Dengue does not care if you have clear urine. So thank God for her. But I just rested and I was starting to feel better. My fever had gone away with using some Tylenol. And to rewind, if you saw my post, you knew that the doctors, they actually gave me an immune boosting supplement too, which was just amazing, because we're so used, especially as like a dietitian, and I'm used to our physicians who are amazing. We have great healthcare, but they have very little training in nutrition. I think on average less than 20 hours out of all their years and all their like the money they spend on medical education. So they there's just a huge missing part of our healthcare system for helping to support people with the nutrients they need to get through both acute and then to help with chronic illness, as many of you probably know already. And so just getting that immune boosting supplement and a doctor telling me the importance of taking that was like music to my ears. So I, of course, like knowing also the importance of it, was taking that regularly. It had some like echinacea in it and some vitamin C and some zinc and a couple other nutrients. And so the fourth day, the fever breaks with the Tylenol, and I'm really hopeful that things are getting better, despite that bleeding under my skin. It was totally freaking me out. And I, of course, was reading and trying to educate myself to see if there's anything else I could do to help support myself through this. And it turns out when your fever breaks, there's a 48-hour window where things can get really serious. And that's why they kept telling me it's so important to tell us if you get any of these symptoms. Go in the fourth day, and thank God my platelets are getting better, my labs are getting better, and they're like, all right, you're on the trend up. Still Texas, but you can now like go home. I had to cancel my flight because of all this. It was not safe to fly. And so finally I got the okay to be able to like go fly back, which I got one of the last flights going out of Bali, thank goodness, and got back to Minneapolis, and things just kept getting better from there. So the fact that I didn't have to be hospitalized is really great, but I also knew if I did end up having to go to the hospital, there's not much they could have done for me. They would have given me IV fluids, but I was still drinking and eating fine, and they would have given me probably a Tylenol drip, which my fever had broke at that point, and maybe manage some symptoms depending upon whatever went on. So that's my whole experience. That was like the sickest I've probably ever been. I say probably just because it was the sickest I had ever been, and it totally freaked me out. And honestly, I was thinking through it. I was journaling at one point during the whole experience, like, well, how is this going to change me as a person, like after the fact, looking back, because experiences like that, they just totally change you. And what's amazing is it's just released so much fear in me, and there's some other people at the beach here now. I had it all to myself at first. A little rainy. That's okay though. So it released fear, and that's why I say, like, despite being a terrifying experience and really being so close to not making it, it's like one of the best things that's happened to me, because now, like, going about life and not having so much fear, and even with all this kind of COVID stuff going on, it's just such like a crazy timing of events to be in a much calmer space after experiencing that, and then to now also know that my risk was higher of getting dengue fever because of global warming. It's really, I have this huge fire in me to help more people improve their gut health, and that's their immune system. 70% of the immune system is in the gut, which Oswald Digestive Clinic, that's what we do. We help people to improve their gut health. And then also secondly, my big picture is to really help with regeneration agriculture, where not only is it a way of farming that helps to pull and sequester carbon from the atmosphere. And if we can get more farming like this could really reverse global warming. But it's also a way to increase the nutrient quality of our food to help support our health. And if you're going through this COVID-19, and especially if you have some chronic illness, if you have risk factors, like, I know you're concerned, and the good news is a lot of chronic disease, we can reverse it, we can improve it, and we can prevent it. And that's kind of this huge big picture way to help prevent that. And totally after this experience, it's just lit even more of a fire under me to make all of that happen. And so as you're kind of going through all this, I just want you to think about, you know, in 6 months, and oh, we have some dogs. Hey. No, you're fine. And so in 6 months from now, or 12 months from now, like looking back, think about, you know, how is this experience molding you, and are you happy with how life was going for you beforehand and what you were doing in this world? Or if not, you know, how might you change that kind of coming out of this? And it's just to be happier, you know, right? We want to try to like make a difference in this world and be happy, enjoy doing it while we're going about it. And so I think that's just experiences like this where we can come together and recalibrate, and then hopefully move forward in a more intentional way, I suppose. And yeah, my heart totally goes out to people who have already lost loved ones or who are terrified going through this. And I had those experiences myself, and I just want to send out so much good energy to all of you. I really do care about all of you, and I hope that kind of hearing my experience and hearing what I got out of that maybe gives you kind of something to set your energy to and your mind to until we can kind of get out of this together. If you are interested in more gut health information, check out some of the links in the description below. Subscribe if you want more videos about gut health. If you have any questions, just comment below. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.